Join Edwin Frondozo on the Business Leadership Podcast every week for a unique program featuring insights and actionable items from the world's most successful business leaders. Hear firsthand the exclusive interviews and personal journeys on how today's transformational leaders made it to the top.
Running a team and managing a team of people, and again, it's somewhat unique that I run a software engineering and design firm, and I can't write a line of code, or people ask how do you do that if you don't you're not a software engineer. It's really kind of managing people and getting a team of people around you that you can count on, and again we have a CTO and a creative director and stuff like this that I lean on.
This is the Business Leadership Podcast, and I'm your host, Edwin Frondozo. Welcome. How are you? How is your day going? First off, thank you for taking the time to join me today. This episode is episode number 114, and my guest today is Robert Armstrong. Robert is the co-founder and CEO of Appstem, which is a leading digital agency in San Francisco. Robert has been selling technology products and services for 20 years, and prior to Appstem, he spent 5 years at Oracle Corporation selling enterprise application software before he left in 2010 when he saw an opportunity in the mobile application space. And in our conversation, we find out one of the biggest challenges that Robert encountered when he had to transition from being in sales and marketing over to solely the CEO position. He talks about how he was able to build and grow Appstem on his own when he and his business partner parted ways. He also shares his thoughts on why some consumer and B2B companies grow and why others fail. Thank you to those who have rated the podcast and left a comment. I really appreciate it. This latest one is from BZ on Apple Podcasts, and they write, "A friend of mine recommended I listen to the Business Leadership Podcast, and I'm happy they did. Edwin is running useful, intelligent, and fun interviews with some of the biggest leaders out there." Well, thank you, BZ. I really appreciate you and the time you spent with me. So when you rate and leave a review, I will read it out on an upcoming episode. Now here we go. Welcome to the Business Leadership Podcast, Robert.
Thanks, Edwin. Thanks for having me, man.
So, Robert, why don't we actually just get started by introducing who you are. If you could tell us what you like doing when you're not growing and leading businesses.
Sure. So in my personal life, I have almost a 2-year-old. So he'll be two next month. So that takes up a lot of my time recently. But it's I guess a first time parent. So a lot of learnings and time dedicated to having a toddler. But outside of that, I grew up, being pretty active. I in college ran track and cross country. So exercise and staying active is still a big part of my life. I enjoy golfing most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time I enjoy golfing and getting out and doing things outdoors. But yeah, that's what it is for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, how do you, and just to relate with you, my daughter is turning 3 years old in June, so probably just a year ahead of you, and it's first time parent as well, and I'm a runner as well, so we probably starting off at the right foot here.
Yeah,
Robert.
Very cool. No, a lot in common. I love it.
Why don't we start off by talking about your company, Appstem? Tell us your current roles and maybe responsibilities, and perhaps what you're trying to accomplish now over the next 6 to 12 months.
Sure. Yeah. So at a high level, Appstem, we're a digital agency based in San Francisco, and we work with really all types of companies, phases of companies, sizes of companies, early stage startups to Fortune 500 companies, and we help them design and develop, launch, support digital products, a lot of which is mobile applications, web apps, things like this. And when we started the company, I was very much obviously in the early days focusing on getting clients and new business and client relationship stuff. And then in May of 2014, I took over the CEO role. And as I kind of evolved into that, and, I still spend a good portion of my time in kind of client relation stuff, whether it's new business or working with current clients on different digital initiatives. It just kind of evolved into a lot more of an operations role. So being a boutique company, I still have my hands in a lot of things as far as, finance and HR and daily operational things, but very much still enjoy and try to spend as much as I can on the sales and marketing front.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you talked about sales and marketing, because as I looked at your career, it seems like you spent a lot of time in sales and marketing as a professional within other organizations. And you just touched upon some of the changes or differences, and maybe they're challenges to you as well as you became a CEO, I guess 5 years ago. So I'd love it if you could talk about that transition and what was maybe the hardest part about it.
Sure. So yeah, I think that, going from a sales and marketing role, I mean, as you mentioned, that's my background. I, graduated with a degree in marketing, and after I left school, spent the last, 15, 20 years doing sales and marketing at, large companies like Oracle, doing enterprise software sales stuff. And then again, 5 years ago, almost on the money. It was May of 2014. Going into a CEO role was interesting. So at that point, my partner and I, he was kind of held the CEO position, and as kind of duties and tasks changed as I took over the CEO role, a lot more of the time is spent. Well, prior to that, in sales, I'm kind of out, meeting with clients, and it's much more outside of the company facing, whether it's current clients or going on meetings and things like this and presentations. And I would say a lot more of it turned to kind of inside the company. So I spend a lot of my time on hiring, spend a lot of time on process stuff. Again, I'm still very much involved in running the payroll, and what was I dealing with earlier this morning was insurance stuff for the business, or renewing our insurance. So it becomes a lot more operational. And being a small company, you really have your hands on a lot of this stuff. But I think the big difference is managing a team of people that are inside your walls versus managing clients and client expectations and trying to win new business in kind of a more of a sales role outside of the company.
Yeah, no, I've spoken to many entrepreneurs who had to, I guess, change that hat in terms of their expertise, whether they're coming from the technical developer world or like yourself in the sales and marketing role. What were some of the skills that you needed to pick up as you were transitioning, and where did you look for help or advice?
So I think the big thing is managing people. I think that's the big thing, and working with the team. I mean, as I mentioned, we're here in San Francisco, and it's a very hot market as far as hiring engineers and talented designers and project managers, and having a team of people that that I can count on day in, day out, that we're doing good work. And so really it's kind of managing the team and making good hires and growing the team and taking on the right clients and things like this. So that's a big piece of it. As far as learning it, the short answer is you kind of learn as you go.
Right.
I do a lot of reading, listen to a lot of podcasts, and have been very fortunate to have good team members and executives on my team that I can lean on and count on and help make these decisions. But yeah, it's really surrounding yourself with some smart people and good team members that you can count on.
Oh, that's great. Robert, can you share with us a difficult decision? It could be within your current company or even in the past, something that you had to make that really allowed you to grow as the business leader you are today?
Sure. I think probably an easy example of that. I mean, there's a lot of tough decisions, but an easy one would be kind of as I mentioned, I took over the CEO role about 5 years ago. And really kind of what led up to that was we had built an internal software product that we spun out of Appstem. And this was kind of our first product that we had spun out. And my partner at the time very much enjoyed working on that and spending time. And we had made the decision back then that I was going to focus on Appstem and he was going to focus on that. And that's when we kind of split up, so to speak, and very amicably. We were still good friends and things like this. But he wanted to go off and focus on building out this product, and I wanted to focus on building out Appstem, and that's when they took over the CEO role. But going in and having a partner and someone that you could lean on, and we had built the company together from up to that point, it was 4 years, and what it made me do by kind of splitting up and kind of going my own was now it fell solely on me. I didn't have a business partner to lean on, and there was a lot of things that he did that were outside of my expertise or know-how, and it really kind of expanded my comfort zone of again, a lot of these internal things of managing the books and the HR and a lot of those internal operation stuff fell on him, and so it was kind of where it was a tough decision. It was kind of, cutting the cord, so to speak, where it's like, all right, I've never done these things before, but now I'm in the deep end. We got a company that's in motion that people count on, both from an employment standpoint, but also from a client standpoint, that they're counting on us to continue to do good work and build out, products for their companies that are extremely important to their companies and their customer base. And so, we couldn't have any sort of hiccup or anything like that, and it had to be business as usual. So it was a difficult decision in that it took me very much out of my comfort zone and what I spent my time on and what I enjoyed spending my time on and learning things straight out of the gate. But where I kind of look back and I thank God I can kind of look back and laugh. And, I was very nervous and lost sleep over it and things like this. But it made me expand as a business owner of how to do these things and learn it. And it wasn't overly difficult. And so, but it's just expanding your comfort zone and taking on new responsibilities. And it was kind of a bit of a safety net having a partner. But looking back, it was definitely the right decision. I'm obviously very glad I did it.
Yeah, 100%. And thank you for sharing that. Robert, at the time, I mean, I'm only going to guess, and maybe you could let us know. So he was your partner, and I guess you split ways, both company-wise and not personal, but business relationships as well, right? So how difficult was that making those conversations?
Yeah, I mean, we're still very good friends, and the conversations, thank God to him, very respectful. They weren't very uncomfortable, but it became obvious at that point that he enjoyed working on a product that he had the direction. I mean, that's kind of the tough thing in being in our line of work is we build products based on our clients' specific needs, and these are custom software products that they own, and even though we maintain and update a lot of them, it's really kind of, it's their intellectual property, and it's really based on the specs that they provide. Obviously, we work with them on that stuff, but it became obvious at that point that he really enjoyed building out a product that he had the say on, that he could iterate and use technologies and things that he liked. And so it was a very, I guess, natural thing that, spending time and building out this product to spin it outside it only made sense at that point, that it was a large focus of his time and what he enjoyed working on. And at that point, my focus was kind of split between the two. And if we continue to go down that path, the growth of Appstem and the quality of work we were doing would have potentially suffered. And so that's when we made the decision that it was probably, best to kind of go focus our energies on what we enjoyed.
Oh, that's amazing. Robert, I know you touched upon as you were extending your comfort level, learning new skills, taking over a lot of these operation roles, I'm wondering, what are you doing now to ensure that you continually grow, whether it's a business leader within your own operations or as a whole?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing as we continue to grow the company and we grow, slow and steady over the years, and the big piece is hiring the right people in the right roles. That's a big piece of it, right? Being a small company, it's really having the folks that we can trust to build process and execute on that process or that plan on a day in, day out basis. And that's the big piece. And being any business owners, I mean, you got to be able to count on your team members equally. You also have to be able to notice when maybe you made a mistake, or maybe that it's not working out, right? That it maybe wasn't the right fit, or the execution isn't what you expect, and making tough decisions in that roles of being able to recognize that, and recognize that you made a mistake, and recognize that person isn't suited for that role, or in some cases the company, and you have to make those tough decisions to be able to grow the company in a stable manner. But aside from having the right people in the right roles, it's having the right process as well that is executable on a daily basis. And we have a lot of different systems we use to manage not only internal things, but from HR and finance and all of these things. But we also have a lot of systems that we use to help us organize everything from our project management stuff, hourly tracking stuff, and things like this to be able to give us kind of a repeatable process that we can measure and maintain.
Hey there, how are you enjoying this conversation that I'm having with Robert? I'm wondering, do you ever get inbox anxiety? That feeling in your gut when you open your email box and you see countless of unread emails and you quickly close the app? I used to have that till I found a system that allows me to achieve inbox zero every day. I am here to tell you that I wrote a short ebook to share the strategies and tools that I use to get to inbox zero every day. And not only that, I provide some fun challenges that gives you some accountability with others to help you achieve inbox freedom. And by the way, the book is absolutely free. Yes, you heard it right. I wrote this just for you. No email required and no retargeting happening here. Simply go to my Facebook group to find out more at thebusinessleadership.com/FB group, or simply search for the Business Leadership Group directly in Facebook. Now let's get back to it. Speaking about systems and processes, which is something that I'm pretty passionate about, me being an entrepreneur and some of the stuff that I like to talk about, I'd love it if you could share any new system or hack, and this does not have to be business, it could be personal, something that you've recently implemented that's really helped you significantly.
Yeah, it's a good question. So as I kind of just mentioned, I mean, we have a lot of different systems. We actually kind of joke that there's really kind of this day in kind of a software age, and SaaS models there really is a system to do anything. And, making sure, I think any system that you implement, that it's used and adopted by the team, that you can run, accurate reports and things like this, whatever it might be, a CRM system or a sales pipeline or financials or whatever that might be. Aside from that, one thing that we did implement, this was late last year, I'd probably say in the last, 6 to 8 months, that we implemented was what we call as our knowledge base. And what we found was that, I guess like in any company, a lot of the knowledge within the company is stored within people, right? There's a lot of things about past projects or previous clients or things like this that are stuck in my head, and equally with our CTO, that there's knowledge about some development practices, or maybe a product that he had worked on or designed and things like this. So in an effort to extract that and make sure that this knowledge is shared within the team, or if someone ends up leaving the company, that knowledge isn't lost with that person, is we implemented a knowledge base. And this is something that we built in an effort to share best practices and processes, previous projects and clients, and really it's kind of an internal wiki that we have built out ourselves in an organized fashion that we can track and really kind of not lose that knowledge or have it stuck within one person. That those things are shared across the team.
I love that, having an internal wiki for different clients. How was that rollout for a system like a knowledge base, and how is it adopted within the team? Or I guess for me specifically, how long did it take for everyone to really jump on board with it?
Sure. So the short answer is getting all of the knowledge transcribed and on paper or digitally, let's say, is still a work in progress. But getting the infrastructure and the organization of the product, it didn't take very long. We actually looked at it. Funny enough, we looked at some different systems to do this in, and everything from using project management site like a Basecamp or an Asana or something like this, and then we were going to build out our own. Obviously, being a software development company, we thought, okay, let's just build our own, and then we even started doing that, and then we realized that that was a lot more. It wasn't as user friendly. It wasn't easy for people. For me, not a software engineer, to go in and add new things. And it just wasn't as intuitive or easy to go do this. So then looking at some different software solutions, probably in the later half of last year, we ended up doing it all on Google. So we use a Google Drive system that we've kind of organized and kind of updated to be able to provide ways to that you don't need to be technical or anything like this, that you can easily add a document to be able to easily organize and find and search and do all these things. So we found that after doing some looking around, that using Google Drive would be the best way for us to do it. So that's what we built it upon.
That's amazing. As you, Robert, are growing as a business leader, and obviously you work and you speak with a lot of business leaders, I'm wondering, from your point of view, if you could see one mistake that other business leaders are making more frequently than anything else.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, again, helping a lot of, in some cases, very early stage startups, helping them build their initial products. And we've done this for a number of organizations, both for consumer companies and also, B2B type companies to help other enterprises. So just based on kind of the folks that we work with, or even some of the folks that we don't work with, but that come through our doors and kind of inquire about us, helping them build out their initial products. I think there's a lot of things, and you can typically tell the ones that have some sort of longevity versus the others. And I think really what it is it's the folks that come through and they're trying to get something to market, and they understand that this is something that isn't just developing a mobile app that's going to go try to sell it in a year or 2 years and be the next Instagram or whatever you may have it, but really that they're creating a company. This isn't just kind of a one-off product. It really takes time, energy, and money day in and day out to build a company, even if it's a mobile app or an enterprise app or whatever it may be, and that this is not going to be a quick win. This isn't going to be a quick exit. They say the average exit, it takes 7 years, whether you IPO or get acquired, and so you really have to be in it for the long haul, and day in and day out, it takes energy and being in kind of the mobile app space and things like this, it's not hey, if you build it, they will come. I mean, this user acquisition takes a lot of thought. Getting product market fit, where you start getting a mass adoption of anything, really takes a plan and day in and day out execution of that plan to be able to get some sort of users and really some sort of success and able to build a business. And so that's kind of it. There's no quick wins. There's no, a silver bullet. There's nothing like that. I mean, it takes time.
It's like really playing for the long game, right? And as you work with a lot of these startups or these founders, Robert, do you have these discussions for them to look further? Because obviously, as you build out these apps, you may be one side of you could be the supplier. The other side of you want to mentor them as well, right?
Sure.
What are you telling them?
Yeah, so a lot of this stuff that that I just mentioned, but that that building this out, working with a firm like us to create a software product, whatever it may be, an augmented reality app or a mobile app, a web app, whatever that may be, that you need to spend just as much time and energy and in many cases budget on the user acquisition and the marketing piece as well.
Mm-hmm.
You very much need to get the market exposure and get some early adopters and be prepared to iterate. You're going to get some people that come in and they may not be using the product as you originally intended, and be prepared to iterate and be prepared to pivot in an effort to find that product market fit. But that's going to take time and really listening to your users or your customers in an effort to build out a product that really provides value or utility that they're going to use it, day in and day out.
Robert, can you name a person who has had a tremendous impact on you as an entrepreneur or business leader? It could be anyone, someone who has mentored you. They could be alive or dead.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people's is the short answer, but I think to maybe highlight a few, I think first and foremost would be obviously my partner Hart, who I worked with, and then more recently the team members in my executive team that I brought on. My CTO Chris and I, we've been working together for maybe 7+ years now. Our creative director, also Chris, him and I have been working together for maybe 3 or 4 years. So it's really kind of hiring smart and talented people that I can trust around me that have really helped me grow and become better myself. Going further back, I would say even my dad. My dad worked in technology. When I left school with a marketing degree at 21 years old, and really wasn't sure what I was going to do. I remember a story I told him. I said, "Hey, Dad, after graduating, I'm going to move down." And I was going to school in Northern California. I'm going to move down to San Diego. He said, "Oh, that's great. Where are you working?" I said, "I don't have a job yet. I'm going to go down there and find one." He's like, most people have it the other way around. They find a job and then they move. But it worked out, and that's how I got into kind of my early sales role, selling to IT and into technical sales. But it was really kind of his advice to get into technology. He worked at SAP for many years. He worked at KPMG. He worked at Motorola very early on, and he had a very successful sales career. Working in technology and got in very early. And based on his advice, that's when I went and interviewed and ended up working at Oracle for a number of years, and that's what's kind of got me into software and technology. And he's always been, the person that I go to when I'm making tough decisions or that I just need kind of a sounding board or just an outside perspective. And he's been awesome and very supportive and someone that I could count on.
That's great. Got a fun question for you, Robert. If I were to ask any of your team members, colleagues, past or present, peers, what's the best leadership quality that you possess? What do you think they would say?
Oh, geez, I don't know. I'd be curious to know myself. I would hope that they would say that I'm enjoyable to work for and enjoyable to work with, and I hope that they I think, running a team and managing a team of people. And again, it's somewhat unique that I run a software engineering and design firm, and I can't write a line of code or people ask, how do you do that? If you don't, you're not a software engineer. It's really kind of, managing people and getting a team of people around you that you can count on. And again, we have a CTO and a creative director and stuff like this that I lean on. But really, I hire people, and there's a certain amount of autonomy. Obviously we have process to manage these things, but I think a lot of business leaders will kind of micromanage or get, I think in some cases, I brought up process a few different times in this interview, but I think that you can also overdo it. I mean, and we work with clients. I think that's one of the things in this is, we see a lot of different organizations and their style and things like this. And you definitely see some cases where there's process for the sake of just sometimes I think process and meetings for meetings. And, we'll get in these meetings and I'll be like, wow, there's a lot of people in here. This is a very expensive meeting. And and we'll get out and really it goes super long, and there's really not a lot that's decided. We especially see it in large organizations that's really inefficient. And so, I bring that up to say that I'd like to think that my leadership style is very hands off, and that if the work is getting done, that and the quality and things are getting done on time, it's pretty mellow, I guess would be the right word, and I think that really helps in as far as the culture of the company and being able to hire and retain, really smart people. I think that's been really kind of a key to our success, is doing that and really just not bogging, especially, software engineers and people down with, meetings and process and things like this.
Robert, what else is going on? Do you have any other special projects, any initiatives, or something fun that you are looking towards or maybe losing sleep about?
Sure. So this year is pretty exciting. I mean, we're almost halfway through the year. It's really been a great first half. Last year we had a banner year for us, and this year we're already on track to top that, which is extremely exciting. I think some exciting things that are coming up is we've had a lot of new client wins and a lot of new client projects that we're working on that will be pretty exciting and that we'll be releasing towards the end of this year, and that we're either actively working on or kicking off. Aside from that, we are actively hiring and growing the team, which is always exciting, and it's kind of across the board from design to project management and software engineers. Aside from that, another internal thing. So, being some of the smaller guys on the block here in San Francisco, we have an internal initiative to help grow our brand and exposure, and so we're working with some folks to help us, grow the Appstem presence and our brand to work with new and exciting clients and stuff like that. And so, there's a whole lot going on, which is very exciting. And we're also working on a couple internal products right now. So, being in kind of client service work, we do a lot of different things for our clients, but we're excited to kind of expand our knowledge and our expertise into some more newer emerging technologies. Specifically, we're working internally on an app, an augmented reality app that we'll be releasing here in the next couple months. We're also working on a virtual reality app that we're building here internally that will be releasing on the Oculus Go here probably in the next 2 months as well. So yeah, we're definitely staying busy and growing. And yeah, there's a lot going on this year. I couldn't be more excited about it.
Well, I'm super excited. So, Robert, let us know where we can find more information about you, your company, anything you want to share, or for those who may be listening and want to get in touch to join your team.
Yeah. No, we're definitely hiring, and yeah, you can reach out to us. All of our info is on our website, appstem.com. And we got a careers page on there. We got info to reach out if you're interested in working with us. But yeah, that would be the best place. And yeah, please reach out. We'd love to hear from anyone.
Well, Robert, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us on the Business Leadership Podcast.
Edwin, I appreciate it, man. It's been a pleasure.
That's it, Biz Leaders. Thank you for joining me on the Business Leadership Podcast. This was episode 114 with Robert Armstrong. If you want to learn more about Robert Appstem or anything else that we discussed, please simply go to thebusinessleadership.com/114. Join me on my private Facebook group where I will discuss this episode, answer your questions, and connect you with other like-minded business leaders. Simply search for the Business Leadership Group directly in Facebook. And lastly, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. Thank you again. Edwin signing off.
Thank you for listening to the Business Leadership Podcast at thebusinessleadership.com.